welcome to the tutorial. Today we will be learning how to map census data, specifically data at the tract level using Tableau. Now, if you're at all familiar with mapping data at the county or state level in Tableau, then many of these steps will be familiar to you. The difference here is that Tableau doesn't have the shapefiles of census tracts coded into the program like it does counties and states. This will require us to go and download the shapefiles from the census site and link it to the data we have. So let's get started. The first step is to go and actually grab your data. You may have it already, or you may have to download it from an online source. Here you can see data.census.gov, which is where most of your tract level data will likely come from. However, for today's example, I'm actually going to use Social Explorer to download data on educational attainment in the state of Massachusetts. So I'm going to go into the American Community Survey at the census tract level for Massachusetts, all tracts in Massachusetts. I'm going to look for educational attainment data, and I'm going to get the collapsed version so it's less different fields. And the nice part about Social Explorer is that they'll just label the columns for you, but other than that, it's the same data from the census pulled directly from there. And now, regardless of where you get your data from, it's likely going to have one oddly named or unintuitively named columns, as you can see here, and also a bunch of empty columns for the data you didn't actually need, like they're all in the US, so it didn't label that. So I'm actually going to go in and just delete all the empty columns. These are our data right there, actually. And Social Explorer was nice in that it added these column headers. Of course, you can just go in, and if you know what SEB120001 so on is, then you just title it. In this case, it's population 25 and over. So I'm going to delete this row and save this file. And then now that your data is cleaned up, you're going to want to go and download the shapefile for your corresponding region. So if you just look up census shapefiles, the first website will have the result, will be where you want to go. Web interface. So now when you download the census tract, you want to make sure that the year is the same as the year you're grabbing data from, or your data is from. So for our case, it's the American Community Survey from 2018. And make sure it's census tracts. And select the state you want to download from, in this case, Massachusetts. Download. It will be a zip file. Download that. And you can just go in and extract that. You get a folder. This is the actual shapefile, but you're going to want to keep it all in the same folder so Tableau can use it. I'm going to put it in this folder along with my data, which I will rename to mass data. And then now you can open up Tableau. So now that Tableau is open, you're going to want to open your data file. In our case, it's in the CSV format, so we're going to click on text file. Obviously, if it's in an Excel file, click on Microsoft Excel. We're going to go over to our census data, mass data, and open it. And then now you should be able to see all your data along the bottom here. And you're going to want to focus on whichever field has this 11-digit identifier code. In our case, it's titled FIPS, Federal Information Processing Standard. And what this is every census tract has its own unique identifying code. And this is what's going to allow us to match our data file to the shapefile we downloaded. Now, for some reason, Tableau loves making the FIPS codes a number, but we're actually going to want to keep it as a string. So just click there and make it to a string. And now to add our shapefile, we're going to go to Connections and click Add. Go down to Spatial File, go to the folder we downloaded, and open the shapefile. And to add the connection, we're just going to drag it over to the center here. And Tableau is going to ask you to edit the relationship. So on the data file, we're going to click on FIPS, which is where our FIPS code was. And then on the shapefile, it'll typically be under GOID. So just click there, close. And as you can see here, they're linked. And if you click on this one, the shapefile, you can see under GOID is where all the FIPS codes for the census tracts are. So now let's go to sheet 1. And to make the map, all you have to do is scroll down to the shapefile and double click on geometry. So a map will pop up. Hovering over it doesn't do anything yet. What we're going to want to do is we're going to add names to the census tracts. So whatever field had the names, in our case qualifying name, just mouse over it and double click. So now when you mouse over each census tract, you can see the name of the census tract along with the county and state depending on how your data is formatted. Now the process is pretty similar to mapping county level data. So pick whatever field you want to map. In our case, we're going to map percent of population over 25 with a bachelor's degree or better. Drag it over color, and Tableau will make a basic core plus map with a continuous color scale where the minimum value is the lowest value it sees in your data and the maximum value is the highest value it sees in your data. And this is good to do quality control, making sure your data is correct. For our case, since we have a percentage, we want to make sure nothing goes below 0 and nothing goes above 100, which it does not. Now for mapping census tracts, especially a continuous scale for a core plus map is not the best choice because the census tracts are just so small that the colors kind of just blend into each other and it's really hard to read. So we're going to want to go into color, click edit colors, and let's go to step color and let's put it down to 4 categories now. So here you can see more distinctly the different groups of highly educated counties and less highly educated counties. And Tableau will just automatically make a color scale that's equal interval, so 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100. And you can, if you want to change the colors, you can go ahead and do that. You can even add a divergent color scale if you want. Although for single variable maps like this, a divergent color scale can often be misleading just because for a tract that say has 49% bachelor's degrees versus 51%, they're going to be really close to each other but have very different, they'll have one will be orange, one will be blue. So we'll just keep it as automatic for now, which will just be a single color. And then if you wanted to do percentile, you can just right click on this color value and get a quick table calculation, just click percentile, but we'll just leave it equal interval for now. So you may also notice that the census tracts include the territorial waters around the state. This isn't a problem for this map since all these census tracts have 0 population, so they all show up as 0% on the map and contrast well with the census tracts on the shore. But depending on your data, you may have the case where these colors are really close to the shoreline colors, so it's hard to see, and it makes your map look strange to anyone who's familiar with the coastline of the state you're mapping. So if you want to just exclude it, you can just click on the census tracts and just control click to select, or command click to select all the ones you want to exclude, and just click exclude, and they'll be gone. And then your map will be more cleaned up. And then now you can do all the other things you would normally do with Tableau. You can edit the tooltip if you would like, change that here. You can map different color, you can map different fields on here if you'd like. And if you wanted to add other states, all you'd have to do is edit your data sheet. Make sure you have the FIPS code, that's the most important part, so that you can link it to your shapefile. And then go in and download the shapefile from the shapefile of the state you wanted to add from the census websites. And you can add it to your map here, so you can continuously add. Or you could just download the entire shapefile for the whole United States, although doing that will just give you a huge file, which it may not be unnecessary if only mapping, say, these 3 states. All you need to do is download the Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island shapefiles. And that's about it for now, and you should be on your way to mapping census tract level data for any data you have.